What's going on, gamers? We're back again with another epic freaking Zumbini episode. This is part 2 of the comprehensive guide to Thomas the Tank Engine lore. We're back again with another freaking epic video. This is like 1955 to 2011, which is, this video's about to be long. Get ready for me to talk about the 60s for like 20 minutes, right? But anyways, let's get straight to it. So before I get started with the rest of this, I want to mention before, because I forgot to mention it, 1954, the second Sir Topham Hatt, I think it's the first one, but the first one retires, and then he gives it up, the title of control of the railway, to his son Charles. So I just wanted to mention that before we get started with the rest of the years. And then I think the same year, Percy is working on Thomas's branch line now, and Thomas is like, "Hey Percy, I got something else to do. Do you mind if you take these passengers tonight to go to the place?" And Percy's like, "Yeah, sure, buddy, I promise." And then Percy gets caught in a flood and just is about to die in the flood and be stranded forever. But then he's like, "I can do this with the power of friendship. Anything is possible." And then, he pulls himself through, and Percy's promise is fulfilled. And so then the year after this, Percy's bragging to some foreign engines from the mainland, like, "Yeah, I'm pretty cool. I did the whole Percy's promise thing." And then Henry's like, "You're not that cool. It's probably going to come back to bite you in the ass, you bragging like that." Percy was like, "Nah, I don't think so." And then, see, what happens is that Percy gets too cocky, and the trucks push him off of the quay into the water, and he's just dangling there. It's, what a goober, Percy in some water, am I right? But the same year, right, a foreign engine visits the railway and talks to Gordon and Duck and talks about the stations in London, or the station in London, and they all disagree. They're like, "No, it's King's Cross. No, it's whatever the hell. It's Booty Fartville." And they're all arguing about that, right? But then another engine derails, and Gordon gets the opportunity to go to London, right? And he's all excited about that. But he gets there, and he doesn't go to King's Cross where he said the London station was. He didn't go to the station where Duck or the foreign engine said it was. He goes to some entirely other station. I think it was St. Pancras or something. No, it was some random station that none of them were, and he's disappointed about that. Yeah. London's like it's a massive city, you dork. Then in 1956, the railway series proves to be such a hit in the past like 10 years that Sir Topham Hatt decides to bring his 8 famous engines to the mainland for a little gala, and that includes Thomas through Duck. So yeah, and that's fun, a little fun adventure. What can I say? And hijinks ensue because Thomas, while getting ready to go to the little event, Thomas crashes through a wall and like gets messed up. So that's crazy. Yeah. But anyways, after 1957, Sir Topham Hatt the First passes away. Yeah. That same year, the city of Truro, which is a famous engine in the United Kingdom, he's famous for allegedly being the first steam engine to go 100 miles per hour, which is highly debated, but allegedly, like I said. But he visits, and he's Great Western, so is Duck, and him and Duck talk for a while about, being Great Western, and then Duck just rants and rambles about how cool the city of Truro is. And then Gordon's like, "Well, he doesn't have a dome, he's not a real engine, trying to just be a dickhead." And then Gordon's like, "Oh, I'm way cooler than him. I can go 100 miles per hour." And it just starts tweaking, right? "I can go 100 miles per hour, I promise, dude. And then he goes way too fast on the viaduct. Wind catches under his dome and just flips it off. And so now he's a domeless engine, you fucking idiot. 1957, again, Sir Topham Hatt decides to try out this newfangled type of engine, and it's called a diesel engine. And guess what his name is? It's Diesel. And he arrives to the island, I think around 1958, around 1957, I don't know, around that time period. And he's like, "All right, Duck, go show Diesel around." And then once Diesel's away from Sir Topham Hatt and all the other engines, he's like, "We Diesels know what we're doing, all right? I don't need you to show me how to shunt, all right? I don't need you how to show me to do shit, all right, steamer? I know what I'm doing here. I'm better than you. Get out my face." And Duck's like, still, high off of meeting a celebrity. He's like, Okay, Diesel, whatever you say, go shunt that line of trucks over there. And he tricks him, fucks him up, and then Diesel's like, scheming time, fellas. Spreads lies about Duck, calling the big engines galloping sausage, galloping dicks and whatnot, crazy shit. And that results in Duck being banished to Edward's branch line. But after, having a little close shave, you know what I'm saying? Diesel is then sent away because apparently Sir Topham Hatt always knew that he was lying. And we don't really get to see him be sent away, it was just told to us. Which is a pretty big flaw in the whole story, I think. And a really missed opportunity, but... yeah. But yeah. Duck is then returned to the main line, and they're all friends again. So then later in 1958, the Skarloey Railway, in dire need of some engines, like literally, they only have like 2 functioning engines. They acquire Rusty and Duncan 5 and 6 respectively. Now Rusty is a diesel engine, mind-blowing technology, am I right, guys? And Duncan is the best one with the most characteristics, and you cannot debate me on that, I'm sorry. And yeah, silly antics ensue. Duncan is just a goober. And also, Peter Sam gets his literal ass beat by some trucks, like literally gets his face smashed in, I'm not even playing. Funnel gets messed up, and so he has to wear a pipe as a funnel for like a couple weeks until he can get a new one. And also Skarloey returns. And then also, at the tail end of the decade, around 1959 or so, the railway decides, hey, let's get a 9th engine. And so they order one from Scotland, and he's a tender engine, a mixed traffic tender engine. But when he arrives, there's fucking 2 of them, right? And the Scottish people are like, hey lad, I don't know who's the real one. Yeah, exactly like that. So yeah, and then he's like, alright, well, whichever one of you dumbasses like performs the best, I'll keep whichever one of you does the best. And both of them notoriously just shit the whole bed, like just running down their pant leg. And so after this, Percy, all the engines decide to send Percy of all engines, I guess because he's adorable or something, I guess. He's like, yeah, sir, can we keep both of them? Because they're really useful to the railway. And Sir Topham Hatt remembers that one of them destroyed a signal box and the other destroyed a brake van and killed the brake van, which was alive, by the way. And he was like, fuck it, whatever. Number 9 and number 10, welcome to the railway, Donald and Douglas. That's their names, by the way. And they become the number 9 and 10 on the Northwestern Railway. Alright, so to start off the 60s, Thomas the Tank Engine decides, hey, I could move by myself, and goes and runs into a family's house and brutally maims them while they're eating breakfast. And so while he's being sent away for repairs, Sir Topham Hatt purchases a diesel rail car named Daisy. And the thing with her, she's kind of a bitch, right? But eventually she comes around and, is a permanent part of Thomas's branch line. And then also, like I mentioned before, Peter Sam's funnel falls off after getting smashed in the face with some trucks. And he has to get a new one, right? So, yeah. Been there, done that, brother. What can I say? And also, we can't forget the fact that Rheneas is back from the overhaul, which is super awesome epic. Now we all have the original Skarloey Railway engines back again. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 now. We're big balling, right, guys? But during this time, this new celebrity engine called Stepney, who was just put into preservation and saved from scrap, a whole different story. He visits the railway, and during this time, Sir Topham Hatt's like, you know what, I'll trial another diesel, why not, And he trials this Deltic diesel, and his name, really is numbered, his name is D261, right? And he's like, I'm gonna pull this passenger train over here. While he's being inspected, he sucks the inspector's hat into his exhaust pipe, so he can't move anymore. So Stepney and Duck take the express train, and Bowler, as he's called now, gets his ass sent out of there. You're a fucking embarrassment, dude. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Anyways, you guys remember how I mentioned the Colleyfell Railway in like the beginning of the last video? I talked about this comprehensive guide stuff. So yeah, the main engine, Coley, named after the railway in the mountain that he works on, returns from an overhaul and tells the story of the number 1 engine, Godred, to the narrow gauge engines, because that's near where the works is. And then once he returns to the railway, he meets the new engines that have arrived at the time he left, which is like 20 years, which is wild that it takes that long to fix an engine. But anyways, so yeah, he meets the new engine who was named Lord Harry, but after being a pompous jackass like most other engines, he gets his name taken away. He's just called Number 7 until he saves a mountain climber during a storm and is renamed Patrick. You know, what a swell guy. Love you, Patrick. Anyways, but yeah, back on Thomas's branch line, you know, wacky shenanigans. The Farquhar Quarry is like, hey, we need a new engine, so they order a new engine, and her name is Mavis, and she's a diesel, and she becomes the second permanent diesel engine on Sodor. All right, 1965, and the Skarloey Railway celebrates its 100th anniversary. That's a long time. So yeah, and that's how old Skarloey and Rheneas are. They're 100 years old at this point, and this is like 60 years ago. So you know they're fucking ancient. That's crazy how engines live that long. That's just baffling to me. I guess being metal helps, but anyways, during this time, a new diesel engine called Boko arrives, and that's his name. That's his wheelbasis. Not really a name, but he arrives and he helps out on Edward's branch line, and is immediately harassed by Bill and Ben. Like I said, little stupid fuckers, little orangutans peeling bananas in the Brendan branch line. He becomes the third permanent diesel engine on Sodor. And even though during this time, modernization in the United Kingdom, most of the steam engines at this point have gone to the scrap heap. You know, they're gone, dead, deceased. So Gordon realizes this, and Gordon realizes, wow, I'm the last one of my siblings, after Sir Tom Hat tells him that. And he's like, well, not really, because you still have Flying Scotsman. And he's like, no way. And so Flying Scotsman visits the railway. And the reason he's famous and is still around is because he was the first actual confirmed, not City of Truro, confirmed engine to go 100 miles per hour, which is pretty cool. But while he's visiting, him and his big-ass two-tendered self, I don't know what it is with celebrities and trialing diesel engines, but Sir Tom Hat trials 2 more engines, D199 and D761, whatever the fuck his name is. His name's Bear, pretty much. Yeah, and while they're here, and while Scotsman's here, you know, D199 breaks down while pulling a freight train, and so Henry arrives to help, right? And while he's pushing him along, you know, doing the old Henry shenanigans, Bear rockets by, and he's like, and then Bear breaks down. And so Henry, being the Chad he is, you know, being just the epic alpha male with a cold heart that he is, takes both of the trains to their final destination, which is just a badass thing to do, dude, honestly. And then this diesel engine, the D761 or whatever his name is the one to stay on the railway because he is not a douchebag like the other one is, and realizes that, hey, steam engines are pretty useful. And he stays and becomes the 4th permanent diesel engine on the railway, and is henceforth called Bear. We don't really see much of him, though. I just did really weird. We don't see much of him, though, which is unfortunate because I think he's pretty cool. And also in 1967, right, ballast, which is the stuff used to lay under the tracks, is discovered around Arlesborough, which is where the Mid-Sodor Railway used to be. And so the extension that used to be connecting to the Mid-Sodor is reopened for the NWR, and a little railway, which is like these little minuscule little fuckers. Mike, Rex, and Bert are their names, 3 engines, and also a diesel named Frank, so he's cool. They are put to work on that railway to collect ballast, you know, take little novelty passenger engines, and Duck, while being the, you know, obviously during this time they need someone to run that branch, and so Duck is relocated from his post at, you know, the station to work on the Arlesborough line. And what perplexes me about this is because the station now no longer has a permanent pilot engine, and that was like the whole plot of like Percy and Thomas 20 years ago, so I don't really understand that. And it's never really mentioned again, so I don't know. Alright, now to cap off the 60s, we are in 1969, and Douglas, while taking a train to the mainland, goes past this scrapyard, and he hears a steam engine that's in steam, and he looks into the shed, and there's a tank engine and some rolling stock, and he says, hey, are you one of Sir Top Matt's engines? He's like, yeah, why? And he's like, I've been trying to get to Sodor. I've been fighting for my life. Can you take me there? And he's like, fuck it, you know? You only live once. Free ball it, you know? Free ball it every once in a while, you know? You get what I'm picking up? Are you picking up what I'm throwing down? Are you whipping out what I'm putting, yeah? Anyways, but Douglas takes this engine back after a little few problems, and then he's named Oliver, by the way, and he becomes the 11th engine on Sir Topham Hatt's Railway, but he doesn't have the number 11 in the books. He just has his Great Western number like Duck has, and he is relocated to the Arlesboro branch with Duck, and that branch line is henceforth called the Little Western due to the amount of Great Western engines on there. And then the final event in the 60s, action-packed decade, I know, this is where like most of the stories take place. So after Peter, Sam, and Sir Handel hear mention of Duke engines from Duck, they misinterpret that as Duke, their engine, being scrapped, and they get all sad about that, and they talk memories about that stuff, and then the people that run the railway are like, hey, you know, that engine was never found, why don't we go look for him? And so they use the small railway, the Arlesdale, borough, whatever the hell. They use that and go to where the old Minnesota sheds were, and they snoop around a little bit, and they find him. Unfortunately, one of the men finding him was standing right on top of his shed because it had become overgrown. Falls right through the roof and lands balls first on his dome, which... infertility, man. And Duke is now found. Duke the Lost Engine is now Duke the Found Engine. Yeah, change the name of the book, you fucking moron. But anyways, Duke is then found and brought back to the Skarloey Railway, where he is now in service and is technically the 7th engine, but he's not made the 7th. I don't know why. We'll get to that later. Alright, gamers, now we're in the 1970s now. Strangely enough, not a lot happens like after the 60s, which is probably because all of Wilbert's stories were taking place before the 60s and then after. And so pretty much from the rest of the time on are all his son's stories, Christopher's, which in my opinion and most everybody else's opinion are mid, but some of them are cool. Such as around 1978 or so, on the small railway, they have an engine shortage, so they build a new engine. He's a steam engine, and he's yellow. And so Douglas is like, that's yellow like the underside of my jock strap. Well, why don't we call him Jock? And so his name is Jock, and he's really strong, and he pulls like a tractor trailer somewhere. That's cool, I guess. And then 1979, already at the end of the decade. Am I right, guys? Gordon is old as fuck at this point. You know, like 50 years old. Old is not my grandpa, but old. And he goes in for an overhaul, and so due to this engine shortage, Duck, Percy, and Thomas, all three of them, they have to triple head the Express, which doesn't really make sense because Stepney and Duck did that before, and Stepney and Duck are 2 engines, and those are 3 engines. I don't understand that. All right, 5-year time skip now. So now we go to 1984. Oh, sorry, I had to adjust there. Big ass legs, you know. I'm like 90% sure I just stepped on a spider. So yeah, 1984, Sir Handel takes a day trip. Not a day trip, more like 2 years. He takes a trip over to the Talleyrand Railway, the sister railway in the books to the Skarloey Railway. And he is just, you know, goofing around there and then runs into a tree face first and like pokes his eye out and has to wear an eye patch for the rest of the time. It's cool. Sir Charles Topham Hatt retires in 1984. And his son Stephen takes over. And also, the TV show comes out this year, which that is also canon to the books, so that's cool to mention. And also, Gordon, speaking about his troubles, like we said about 5 years earlier, he almost gets replaced by a high-speed diesel engine. But after that diesel engine shits the bed, like every single diesel engine that is trying to replace a steam engine like completely fucks themselves up. And I get that's just a plot purpose, I guess, but that's just so overused, I think, because this is like the 5th time at this point. But he still gets to be the express engine, it's been about 60 years now, Gordon. It's about time to retire, buddy. And also, a bridge on Thomas's branch line is being fixed, so he's sent over to Edward's branch line for a time and to work there because he's too fat to walk on to use the bridge while it's being repaired. So that's the first time ever Thomas meets Bill and Ben in the books. Like, and it's 40 years Bill and Ben have been working there. 40 years on that island. And that's a crazy thought to me, because with minus the show and all the silly little kid antics and like, oh, Thomas is friends with all the engines on the railway. If we're talking about actual real life railway practices, Thomas doesn't know half the fucking engines on Sodor, to be quite honest. He knows like a handful. Honestly, he knows like up to maybe Oliver. In the books I don't think him and Oliver ever interacted. So he up to Donald and Douglas, he knows them. Anybody else, no, he doesn't fucking know them. Never met Bill and Ben, never met Boko, never met Skarloey, never met the little engines. I'm pretty sure hasn't met Oliver. We're lucky that, I don't think he met Bear. Alright, kicking off the 90s with a very cool special event. So, Thomas gets invited to the National Railway Museum in York, and he goes there on his own power, and then runs through a crossing gate like a dumbass, like a complete fool, a complete court's jester. And then he has to go by the lorry. And then while he's there, he meets a bunch of famous engines. He meets Mallard, who is the fastest steam engine ever. Some brown noser named Green Arrow. Stevenson's Rocket, who was a character in both the books and the show. Well, I wouldn't really say a character in the books because he doesn't have a fucking face. There's a funnel going through his face. 1991, an austerity engine named Wilbert visits the railway, and I don't know what, because pretty much the only reason this character exists is to honor Wilbur Audrey's legacy. So Wilbur visits the railway. He goes on to Duck's branch line and Thomas's branch line, works there for a little while, and Sir Topham Hatt's like, I think I need an engine just like you, Wilbur, an austerity engine. And then that's never brought up again. And that's because that Christopher Archie wanted to make that character a new austerity engine character, but the people publishing it, because this was at the time the show was coming out, and they were still doing the Railway series stories and adapting those, and they were like, no, we need more Thomas stories. No one cares about the new characters. We need more Thomas stories. And we were robbed of that, pretty much. 1995, due to the 50th anniversary of the Railway series, Pip and Emma, who were the diesel engines trying to replace Gordon, which I aforementioned before, they bring Prince Charles to the island, so that's pretty epic sauce, am I right, guys? 1997, this is like the last, this is the last year that anything in the Thomas universe, in the books at least, takes place in the 20th century, so savor it while you can. Yeah, 1997, the SKR, Skarloey Railway, they have an engine shortage. Again, I know how, because they only have like 7 engines, right? And so, because they can't count, I fucking guess, they build a new engine, and they call him Ivo Hugh, and they put the number 7 on his side, which if they can't count, they already have 7 engines. And I failed to mention this earlier, in 1989, they bought a new diesel engine named Fred, who was purely for maintenance, and is never mentioned again except for that one time in like an information book. And so if we're really being like smart here, they have 8 engines, so they would make him number 9, but they're not. And so I guess Duke is number 8 and Fred is number 9. So that's just stupid to me. And then, unfortunately, in 1997, Wilbur Audrey passes away, along with Charles Topham Hatt, which is, not great, kind of sad. 2007, the year the old buddy over here was born, the guy who you're watching in the video, who makes the perfect videos. You should definitely subscribe to, get me to 1,000 subscribers before the year's out. Anyways, so on Thomas's branch line, they discover a old busted up, raggedy, crack whore coach. Her name is Victoria, apparently. I don't know how they discovered that. Like, Thomas hasn't been working that branch line since the 20s. That's like 70 years. I don't understand how they're just now discovering that, unless it was just left there in like 19,442,000,042, I don't know. And so she gets, revamped, remodeled and stuff. She turns into a blue coach, and she's added to Toby's train, along with Henrietta and some other fucking coach, I don't know. In 2011, the final event in the Railway series timeline continuum, alright? Strap your seatbelts in, guys, get ready, alright? Okay, so 2011, Gordon finally retires from as being the main express engine after like 90 years. 90 years. Holy shit. That's a long time for a machine to be in use. I'm surprised he hasn't broken down earlier than that. Good lord. But yeah, almost 90 years working the Express, and Gordon finally retires the old. It's like politicians nowadays. Am I right, guys? You know, that old geezer up there being 112 years old running the Senate. No, sir, get out of there. But yeah, pretty much Pip and Emma then get the Express, and all is well in the Railway Series timeline continuum. And I want to thank you guys for listening to me ramble. Alright fellas, very cool video we just had. I'm glad you guys enjoyed both parts. I assume you watched both parts. If you don't, I'm going to have an aneurysm on camera, and it's going to be your fault that I'm dead. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment if you want to see some more. Make sure you do this subscribe thing first, because I like that a lot. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers before 2024 is out. I will be a senior then. So, you know, as my senior parting gift, you know, being done with actual school, you should do that for me. But anyways, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more if you want, I guess. Pretty please. And I hope you guys have a great day. And God bless, and bye-bye.
Vanderlyn, I'm always by your side. Poker plans, I've got a plan, Arthur. Vanderlyn, I'm always by your side. Poker plans, I've got a plan.